Cormier came out and he said Dana White will need more than money to convince Khabib to return. Okay, fine, I agree. And I do not know Khabib on the level of Daniel Cormier. If you get Daniel Cormier a teammate, team captain, AKA where Khabib goes, I mean, right, you're getting inside information. What? Then what? If Dana White doesn't have anything more than an offer, it's a prize fight. Is it an opportunity? Is it a location? They built an arena for him twice now. By the way, I mean, I'm just sharing with you, like that's happened twice now. What more can you do? I'm just wondering Daniel's question. What is it you suggest that we do? And there are answers to it. There are. But what are they? I feel like it's going to be begging. Just a general encouragement from society of asking Khabib to come out and do something. By the way, it's probably going to have to be something that he hasn't already done. Unless we're going to change his mind, I feel as though Khabib has made it clear, even indicative of his retirement speech right there in the octagon after the fight with Justin Gaethje, when he talked about Poirier and he talked with Conor and he talked about he'd already beaten them. Just sounded like he was almost, why would I do this? I've already done it. Ariel Helwani had brought up as recently as 2 weeks ago that the greatest path, the greatest trajectory, in Ariel's opinion, for Khabib to return was for Tony to go out and smash Oliveira. And the reasoning for that by Ariel was Tony is one thing that Khabib hasn't done before. It's one thing that Khabib has told us that he would do, not once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. And it's one thing that could intrigue him to come back. And Ariel wasn't even predicting that he thought that that would do it. He was saying without that element, I don't see a path. Now, Daniel's saying that it's not a money figure to bring him back. Okay, fine, I don't disagree with that, but then what is it? I mean, if we're just chasing our tail here, let's stop. The whole thing was meant to be out of respect. The whole thing where Dana did not strip Khabib or accept the relinquishment of the title wasn't to pressure Khabib. Dana didn't even have an offer for him. He didn't have anybody in mind for him. It was out of respect to, hey, you're possibly caught up in a moment. You were definitely coming off some emotional stuff with the loss of your father that I know about. Take a minute. I don't need that belt back right now. Just take a minute. It was meant to be a kind thing. I'll tell you a story, though. When I'm talking to you about there's ways to get guys back, I've seen guys come back that it wasn't for the money. Chael Sanderson, amongst the great wrestlers of all time, the greatest college wrestler of all time. Chael Sanderson is the one who beat Daniel Cormier in the NCAA finals, to tie that in for you fight fans, but won the Olympic gold medal, walked away. And somewhere along the way, and Chael was being begged, Chael left the sport with the highest achievement of the Olympic gold medal, but he also left it way too soon. People wanted to see more. He had a lot more medals that he was going to grab, and they were all going to be gold. So he finally had some deal with his team, and I'm going back to 2011, so getting it right is a little bit tough, but he had a deal with his team, something along these lines. Chael went on to be the head coach of Penn State, where he sits today, and it was something along the lines of, if you guys win the Nationals, I will wrestle again. And that just meant enter a tournament. I'll put a singlet on, I'll go out there in some kind of a fashion, and he did that. Ran over some really tough guys, and the next thing you know, he pops into the world team trials, makes a world team after 7 years on the sidelines. But it was through an encouragement. There was no money on that. There wasn't even fame. By example, when Chael popped into the trials, everybody knew he was there, but he goes every year to coach. They thought he was there coaching. He didn't tell anybody he was entering the tournament. Nobody. He just walks into the weigh-ins, strips down, and hands his registration card. I bring that to you because he wasn't even looking for attention. Not only was it not for money, it wasn't even for attention. There was something else that motivated Chael Sanderson. And all we've ever been told as an audience is that it was to honor a deal made to motivate his team that worked, and they succeeded, and he was man of his word. I don't dispute that's exactly what happened. I'm just reminding you guys that there are ways to get these greats back. They do come back. And it isn't always about money. Now, we just saw the opposite thing happen 3 weeks ago. Mike Tyson, a great, came back 100%. This is about the money. Okay, no problem. No problem. Whatever your motivation is, I just am questioning when Daniel says it's going to take more than money. Does Daniel have an idea? I'm all ears. No judgment here. I'm all ears. Because what is Dana going to do? I mean, it's not just the money or the participation, but that largely, he's the boss. That's what bosses do. That's what makes them the boss. They control the purse string. That's why, look up the definition. That's what it is. Dana had made a comment. I've never got the answer to this, and I've always wondered. Do you guys recall this? It was right before Khabib versus Gaethje. And all Dana said was, if Khabib wins this fight, we have something very fun planned for him. Or Dana said, we have something very fun I'm going to offer him. And he never said what it was. And I was so curious. That's what in the business they will call a tease. But I was so curious, what could be fun? Like, there's nothing about the unified rules that's fun. There's no arenas that you can fill right now in terms of that different kind of a rush or a drive. He's currently fighting in an island that's a destination. Like, this looks pretty fun. As far as the word fun can go in the sport of combat, it looks like he's having fun, but that's not what Dana said. Dana said, I have something fun, and I've been so curious. I don't know what it is. But I bring it up now because Daniel's saying it's not going to be money. I think Helwani made a fair point because it was in conjunction with what Khabib's been saying in terms of it's got to be something new. We aren't down to a whole lot of new players right now. Conor Poirier isn't new. Dan Hooker is new and Michael Chandler's new, and I get it, Charles Olives is new. Is that new enough and fresh enough and intriguing enough for Khabib? I mean, I'm stuck at what? If it's not going to be about the money, what are we doing it for? If it's not about the accomplishment, if it's not about the attention, we don't have any arenas we can sell out. And it brings us back to a different word, the one that Dana used, fun. I got to know what that was. What was Dana going to offer him?